Okay, hi guys, this is a tutorial on how to do the jump to light speed effect that I've previously done on my channel. So yeah, this is like the first ever tutorial, so we'll see how it goes. But first off, start up After Effects, and we're going to go composition, new composition, 24 frames a second, HD TV, 1080p because we're going to be uploading. I'm going to call this Lightspeed. Okay, so we've got our blank composition. Next thing, gonna do, go new and solid. So we're gonna create a white solid, and this is gonna be our stars. So we need to go down to the effects and presets over here, and we need to find simulation, and then go CC starburst, and drag that guy onto there. Okay, so we want to leave all of this pretty much same as ever, but take this down to 0.03, and we want to take the size down to 23 to make it sort of more CPU less CPU heavy, and sort of more sparse, because space tends to be quite sparse. So if we just quickly drag through this, you can see the stars are moving towards us and flickering, which is nice. That's what we want, and it's white stars on a black background. So now I want to go in to this white solid that we'll quickly, not in here, but we'll quickly rename this guy stars. Lovely. I'm going to go into him and have a drop down and look at the effects of this. So we're going to go into the starburst effects, and we're going to start animating the effects here. So at 0 seconds, we want the speed to vary. So basically, as we're flying through space, we want it to get faster, around about here somewhere, and then gradually speed up, hit the peak, and then slow down really fast and come out of light speed. So that's going to be along our timeline. So just sort of, I figured this out just through trial and error, pretty much. But we want to just click on there, and this will create a new keyframe for our speed. So sort of at 4 seconds ish, that's when we want our effect to start. So just, you don't have to be exact with this, and you can fiddle around with it too. So we're going to be going at 0.03, and then we're going to key in another one, and this is where it's going to start. And then we're going to take it maybe a second in to maybe 5 seconds. And then key in another one, and this is now going to become at 0.44. So you'll see in the stars, if you play this, that it speeds up. And then at about 6 seconds, 6:10ish, another keyframe, and this is where we're going to start to ease out. And then we want the whole thing to be pretty much over with by about 7.10 seconds. So we're going to go back, or even a bit slower, 0.01, and slow down to the end. And that's sort of our end. So if you were to play this now, which I'm going to do, you see that we're twinkling away, and then it'll start to speed up, and then hit a peak, and then start to slow back down again. Now it looks very rigid at the moment, so what we're going to do is go here and keyframe assistant and ease it in, and that'll make it nice and smooth. And then we're going to ease this one out to ease us back out of the light speed. Now from here it doesn't look too impressive at the moment, but we've basically we've plotted like our travel, but we haven't gone anywhere. So next thing we're going to do is go across, and we're going to add another effect to this white solid stars layer, and we're going to call this is in the echo. So we're going to drag echo across, and we're going to have a quick look. So we're going to set the number of echoes down to 0, and pull our composition back to the start, because we're going to be fiddling around with this. So we're going to leave all of this apart from decay, which change to 4.44. As I say, that again is just trial and error sort of thing. You just sort of figure it out through practicing, pretty much. So we're going to keyframe this at the start again, just same as what we just did with the starburst, and we're going to take it to around 4 seconds again, and then we are going to keyframe it. Not the decay. We're going to keyframe, delete that, start. We're going to go number of echoes, keyframe that. When we get to 4 seconds, we're going to keyframe it again at 0. Then at 5 seconds, similar to the one above, we're going to keyframe that up to 15. Make sure we click keyframe. And then this one's going to keyframe up to 15. Then when we get to a similar place to this, 6.10, sorry, we're going to keyframe that up to 20. So keyframe 20. Then maybe like 10 milliseconds later, around there, we're going to keyframe again and start to climb back down. So this is going to be 14. And then by the end, at the same place as before, we're going to end keyframe back down to 0. So if we quickly scroll through this, well, I'll play through, you see it sort of start to drag the stars out, and we get like lots of like little dots, really, and it still looks pretty rough, and you don't really know what's happening. But then this is where it gets interesting now. So we're going to add another effect down on stars, and this is going to be CC radial fast blur, and we're going to drag that down to effect. So the zoom needs to be set to brightest, and the amount needs to be 0. Yeah, and then we're going to key in pretty much exactly the same. So started on 0 with the amount on 0. When we get to around 4 seconds, key in another 0. And then around 5 seconds again, we're going to key up, this time up to 100. So this is going to be where it gets blurry. And you can see there that we're starting to get our streaky stars, which is what we like to see. And then we want to take this all the way through to about that 620 mark, where it sort of starts slowing down and ending. We want to key in 100 again, and then move it to the very end where we were before, and then key that back down to 0. So if we're looking at this now, we've got that sort of star streaky effect. So if we have a quick playthrough, and I know it's quite laggy because it's quite CPU heavy, but we can see it starts to burst out at us, and it starts to look nice. And that is the basic effect there, really. So now you may be thinking like it still looks quite like you can see this blur, and like in the original Star Wars effect, it's not got that blur around the edges and stuff. The way to get around this is to create a new solid, and we want to call it, and it wants to be a black solid this time. And this guy's going to live just above the layer, but as you see, it's gone black here. So we need to go into the toggle switches and set this guy's mode to screen so we can see through him. Now you may be thinking like, well, why would you want to do that? Because it's just made it see-through. But then when we create an adjustment layer over the top, you'll start to see why. So we're in an adjustment layer now, and we're going to start adding effects to that. So the first one we want to add is color correction, and we want some brightness and contrast on it. And while we're over here, we'll also add a curve to the color. So we can leave the curves for now, but we want to ramp the contrast up to 49 or even 50. Let's just go 50 because it's a nice round number. And you'll see there we go that we start to like cut out bits, but you'll still get that sort of effect going on. So yeah, that's that. And then when we go into the color curves, Where are we? Here we are. We'll go push the reds ever so slightly, push the greens ever so slightly. But then when we get to, not the alpha, but the blue, we'll like really ramp that blue. And that's how you get that sort of, that glow around the edge, you know. So now, if we set the parent as well to the stars, but if we watch that now, we'll see us starting to move through space. And and the CPU doesn't really like it, but then we get that streaky effect and we hit light speed. And then we come out. And that is the basic effect. Now, if just to show you what this black solid layer is doing, if we pull that below, it might actually even look a bit better. In fact, it hasn't made any difference at all, really. But this black solid layer is acting as like a screen over the top of your white layer to give it its color. So like without that, you won't get the adjustment layer won't work basically. Now another thing that I did, you can get around that. So we'll mute that layer for now. And I've got this photo that I just got off Google, and it's of the stars. It's just like a sort of background image. So if we set that at the bottom, underneath our image, we'll see that like, yeah, we've got like a nice sort of starry background to build upon. Now and then sort of, but it looks a bit fake with half of the stars moving, half of them not. So the way that I got around this is you go to the bottom and stars, and we'll get that nice little flicker. So we're going into our stars layer again. This time we're going to transform, and we're going to transform the opacity. So we're going to start on 0 seconds and key in a sort of 25% opacity. So key that in to about 3 seconds, and then we're going to drop in another key. So we'll drop in another key there, and then we'll take it a bit further in, and then we shall key in another one, and then push it up to 100 so we can see our stars. Take it along to like 7 point, around there, just before our effect ends, and key in another 100. And then when we get out, just like a short fade pretty much, but we'll key it out just to here and go to around, I don't know, like 30. And this should look cool now. So let's have a quick look. So as we get in, the effect starts, it brings up the opacity, and then we start to travel. And then we go through space, and then we come out of space and slow down, and we're on the other side. And basically, we don't. If we're putting a background behind it, we don't need this black solid layer here. So that's muted. But you could still have it. So yeah, that's a basic and quick tutorial to the jump to light speed effect from Star Wars. Hope you guys liked it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and all of that. Just to let you know as well that this is all done with After Effects plugins as well, so there's no third-party plugins used on it. You could change the Starburst plugin to like a particular plugin or something like that, but it's not necessary, as you can see. And if there's not enough stars in here, you can simply you can go in and just add more stars basically by changing the size. But it'll just start to slow your computer down the more you add. But if you've got time to render it, it'll look more realistic. But there we go. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. And that was the tutorial to the jump to light speed effect.